The Book of Judges is the seventh book of the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Bible. Its title describes its contents. It contains the history of biblical judges, divinely inspired leaders whose direct knowledge of Yahweh allows them to act as champions for the Israelites from oppression by foreign rulers, and models of wise and faithful behavior required of them by their God Yahweh following the exodus from Egypt and the conquest of Canaan. The stories follow a consistent pattern. The people are unfaithful to Yahweh, and he therefore delivers them into the hands of their enemies. The people repent and entreat Yahweh for mercy, which he sends in the form of a leader or champion. The judge delivers the Israelites from oppression and they prosper. But soon they fall again into unfaithfulness and the cycle is repeated. Scholars consider many of the stories in Judges to be the oldest in the Deuteronomistic history, with their major redaction dated to the 8th century BC and with materials dating from much earlier, perhaps close to the period the book depicts. Contents. Judges can be divided into three major sections: a double prologue, a main body, and a double epilogue. Prologue. The book opens with the Israelites in the land which God has promised to them but worshipping foreign gods instead of Yahweh, the God of Israel, and with the Canaanites still present everywhere. Chapters 1-1-2-5 are thus a confession of failure, while chapters 2-6-3-6 are a major summary and reflection from the Deuteronomists. The opening thus sets out the pattern which the stories in the main text will follow. Israel does evil in the eyes of Yahweh. The people are given into the hands of their enemies and cry out to Yahweh. Yahweh raises up a leader. The Spirit of Yahweh comes upon the leader. The leader manages to defeat the enemy, and peace is regained. Once peace was regained, for a time Israel does right and receives Yahweh's blessings, only to later relapse into doing evil and repeating the pattern set forth above. Main text. Next comes the main text. 6 accounts, each concerning a major judge and their struggles against the oppressive kings of surrounding nations, plus the story of Abimelech, an Israelite who oppresses his own people. The cyclic pattern set out in the prologue is readily apparent at the beginning, but as the stories progress, it begins to disintegrate, mirroring the disintegration of the world of the Israelites. The stories are not presented in chronological order, but the judges as they appear in the text are: Othniel vs. Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Aram. Israel has 40 years peace until the death of Othniel. Ehud vs. Eglon of Moab. Deborah the prophetess and Barak the army leader vs. Jabin of Hazor and Sisera, his captain. Gideon vs. Midian, Amalek, and the children of the east. Abimelech vs. all the Israelites who oppose him. Jephthah vs. the Ammonites. Samson vs. the Philistines. There are also brief glosses on minor judges: Shamgar, Tola and Jair, Ibsan, Elon, and Abdon. Some scholars have inferred that the minor judges were actual adjudicators, whereas the major judges were leaders and didn't actually make legal judgments. The only time a major judge is said to have made legal judgments was Deborah. Epilogue. The book concludes with 2 appendices, stories which do not feature a specific judge. Dan and the idols of Micah, how the tribe of Dan conquers its territory in the north. Jiber and the Levite concubine, a war between Benjamin and the other tribes. By the end of Judges, the Israelites are in a worse condition than they were at the beginning, with Yahweh's treasures used to make idolatrous images. The Levites corrupted the tribe of Dan, conquering a remote village instead of the Canaanite cities, and the tribes of Israel making war on the Benjamites, their own brothers. Despite their appearance at the end of the book of Judges, certain characters and idioms present in the epilogue show that the events therein must have taken place early in the period of the Judges. Chronology. Judges contains a chronology of its events. It is overtly schematic, and shows signs of having been introduced at a later period. Themes and genre. The essence of Deuteronomistic theology is that Israel has entered into a covenant with the God Yahweh, under which they agree to accept Yahweh as their God, and Yahweh promises them a land where they can live in peace and prosperity. Deuteronomy contains the laws by which Israel is to live in the Promised Land. Joshua chronicles the conquest of Canaan, the Promised Land, and its allotment among the tribes. Judges describes the settlement of the land. Samuel the consolidation of the land and people under David, and Kings the destruction of kingship and loss of the land. The final tragedy described in Kings is the result of Israel's failure to uphold its part of the covenant. Faithfulness to Yahweh brings success, economic, military and political, but unfaithfulness brings defeat and oppression. This is the theme played out in Judges. The people are unfaithful to Yahweh, and he therefore delivers them into the hands of their enemies. The people then repent and entreat Yahweh for mercy, which he sends in the form of a judge. The judge delivers the Israelites from oppression. But after a while they fall into unfaithfulness again, and the cycle is repeated. Further themes are also present: the sovereign freedom of Yahweh, the satirization of foreign kings, the concept of the flawed agent, and the disunity of the Israelite community. The book is as intriguing for the themes it leaves out as for what it includes. The Ark of the Covenant, which is given so much importance in the stories of Moses and Joshua, is almost entirely missing. Cooperation between the various tribes is limited, and there is no mention of a central shrine for worship or of a high priest. Although Judges probably had a monarchist redaction, the book contains passages and themes that represent anti-monarchist views. One of the major themes of the book is Yahweh's sovereignty and the importance of being loyal to him and his laws above all other gods and sovereigns. Indeed, the authority of the judges comes not through prominent dynasties nor through elections or appointments, but rather through the Spirit of God. Anti-monarchist theology is most apparent toward the end of the Gideon cycle, in which the Israelites beg Gideon to create a dynastic monarchy over them, and Gideon refuses. The rest of Gideon's lifetime saw peace in the land, but after Gideon's death, his son Abimelech ruled Shechem as a Machiavellian tyrant, guilty for much bloodshed. However, the last few chapters of Judges highlight the violence and anarchy of decentralized rule. Judges is remarkable for the number of female characters who play significant roles, active and passive, in the narratives. Rabbi Joseph Telushkin wrote, "Most of the great women in the Bible either are married to a great man or related to one. A rare exception to this tradition is the prophetess and judge Deborah, perhaps the Bible's greatest woman figure. Deborah stands exclusively on her own merits. The only thing we know about her personal life is the name of her husband." Lapidot, Bibliography, Alter, Robert, Trans, and Commentary. Ancient Israel. The Former Prophets. Joshua, Judges, Samuel, and Kings. New York. W.W. Norton and Company, 2013. Amit, Yera. Judges, Introduction and Annotations. The Jewish Study Bible. Ed. Adele Berlin and Mark Z. V. I. Bretler. New York. Oxford University Press, 2004. 508-557. Bacon, Gershon and S. David Sperling. Judges, Book of Encyclopedia Judaica. 2nd edition, Volume 11. pp. 561-566. Davis, John J. and Herbert Wolf. Judges Introduction and Annotations. Zondervan NIV Study Bible. Ed. Kenneth L. Barker. Grand Rapids, Michigan. Zondervan, 2002. 326-363. Anikel, Eric. The Reform of King Josiah and the Composition of the Deuteronomistic History. Brill. ISBN 97890-04-102668. Guest. Darren. Judges. In James D. G. Dunn and John William Rogerson. Eerdmans Commentary on the Bible. Eerdmans. ISBN 978-0-8028-3711-0. Hughes, Jeremy. Secrets of the Times. Myth and History in Biblical Chronology. A&C Black. Knight, Douglas A. Deuteronomy and the Deuteronomists. In James Luther Mays, David L. Peterson and Kent Harold Richards. Old Testament Interpretation. T&T Clark. ISBN 978-0-567-29289-6. Knoppers, Gary. Introduction. In Gary N. Knoppers. Gordon McConville. Reconsidering Israel and Judah. Recent Studies on the Deuteronomistic History. Eisen Braunts. ISBN 978-1-57506-037-8. Knoppers, Gary. Is There a Future for the Deuteronomistic History? In Thomas Romer. The Future of the Deuteronomistic History. Leuven University Press. ISBN 978-90-429-0858-1. Malamat A. Chapter 7. The Period of the Judges. Judges. The World History of the Jewish People. 3. Givatayim, Israel. Rutgers Up, 1971. pp. 129-163. Matthews, Victor Harold. Judges and Ruth. Cambridge University Press. ISBN 978-0-521-00066-6. Miller, J. Maxwell. The Ancient Near Eastern Archaeology. In James Luther Mays, David L. Peterson and Kent Harold Richards. Old Testament Interpretation. T&T Clark. ISBN 978-0-567-29289-6. Moore, Megan Bishop, Keller, Brad E. Biblical History in Israel's Past. Eerdmans. Nidech, Susan. Judges. A Commentary. Westminster John Knox Press. ISBN 978-0-664-22096-9. Purdue, Leo G. Preface. The Hebrew Bible in Current Research. In Leo G. Purdue. The Blackwell Companion to the Hebrew Bible. Blackwell. ISBN 978-0-631-21071-9. DePury, Albert, Romer, Thomas. Deuteronomistic Historiography. History of Research and Related Issues. In Albert DePury, Thomas Romer, Jean Daniel Mackey. Israel Constructs Its History. Deuteronomistic Historiography and Recent Research. Sheffield Academic Press. ISBN 978-1-84127-099-9. Sogan, Alberto. Judges. Westminster John Knox Press. ISBN 978-0-664-22321-2. Spikeman, Herman. The Deuteronomistic History. In Leo G. Purdue. The Blackwell Companion to the Hebrew Bible. Blackwell. ISBN 978-0-631-21071-9. Telushkin, Joseph. Biblical Literacy. The Most Important People, Events, and Ideas of the Hebrew Bible. New York. William Morrow and Company, 1997. Van Setters, John. In Search of History. Historiography in the Ancient World and the Origins of Biblical History. Eisen Braunts. ISBN 9781575060132. Walton, John H. The Deuteronomistic History. In Andrew E. Hill, John H. Walton. A Survey of the Old Testament. Zondervan. ISBN 9780310229032.